This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, guys. Okay. Can you look at my screen, all of you? Okay, so this is something which you got it, right? So now the first thing which we have to do is to create an org. Okay, so you can create as many works you want, right? It's a completely free platform right now. Earlier it was having lots of limitations. So here, this is the org I'm creating, and continue. Now this is the unique name. Okay, so the domain name which I was saying right earlier, dev.azure.com, and you can occupy. For example, you can say something like this, but one of you can occupy this one. But right now, I will occupy, let's say, org DevOps org 1. Okay, so that way I'm occupying, and this will be hosted in which country. I don't think so I have to tell you all this stuff. And then followed by, what is it? It's already taken, so 5. Okay, I made the 5 because usually I use many such name. So done, and then continue. So I've created 2 organizations. One in the morning, while creating organization it will force you to create organization, and one in front of you. Okay, this is also my new account, so I've registered this morning only. Done. So now I have got the 2 organization. You can see the left side, DevOps org 5 and the Profess Now 1, right? These are the organizations. Now each organizations will have a project. Okay, so here DevOps Proj 1. Now this name you can keep it anything because this is not unique as per the URL. Okay, because your org got changed, so uniqueness will not be a problem. So here now whether you want the public or private. Now public is disabled. Now if you read little carefully, then you see public projects are disabled by whom? By your organization. That means you only. Okay, so that's a default setting actually. So what you have to do, I'll show you that place where you can enable it. For security region, by default security rule, default it should be no, and after that if you want to enable you can do that. So I'm creating a private one only, and the DevOps PRG 1. Okay, so now you got one project created. Now I just said, remember, each projects you will have a look at this here. There's a project 1, DevOps project 1. Each project have a wiki. Okay, this is a replacement for Confluent, but it's not as and this was added last couple of months, I would say, not earlier. Okay, and dashboard was always there, but boards, right? Boards is like a Jira, repos like a GitHub. Now only one thing I wanted to confirm, because per project one repo is allowed, multiple repos per project you can have it or not, and here I see that it's not there, so they have disabled that option. Earlier, long back, we had it. Okay, so that is one. Pipelines, you can create as many pipelines you want. Okay, and this is the test plan. Right now test plan you will
doing testing with long processes using multiple.
Sorry. So right now test plan you will see some issues here. Why? Because this account what you have to get a special privileges for enabling these options. Okay, so that options right now you will see something like this, and we'll come back to this. We'll activate third day or probably something like that. So this is okay, and then this is the artifact. Here you can store all the packages and stuff like that. So this is your Azure DevOps. Are we clear? Okay, so now what we do in this case, now we have to go back to my organization. Click on the organizations, and this is the one. Now guys, if you click on the organizations, if you look at the bottom section left side, there is a setting button. Here you have a hell lot of options for your organization which you can configure it. Okay, so let's start going through some of these at a high level, and it's not very difficult to understand. So here you have a name. If you want to change this, again, if you change that, your URL will also change. Okay, and then some description, some timing and stuff like that. Okay, and here if you want to change the owner and if you want to delete the organization. So I must tell you here, be very, very careful while giving access to org level admin access, because they can create a whole organizations also, delete a whole organizations also. Now here, as many projects here also you can create it. Okay, so right now I have created one projects already, DevOps PRG1. I'll create another one, DevOps PRG2, some description and private, created. So here, as you can do that, we'll work on these projects in upcoming session. So like that. Now here you have a users. Okay, here I don't think so I have to tell you what is the users means. Here you can add a users. Let's say my org, DevOps org 5. All of you I want to add it. So I will go ahead and add all of you. Here you can access users and service principal. Service principal if you are attached to intra. Okay, but right now you can invite a user, you can give an email address or something, and then basic here, and then whatever the projects. I have 2 projects. So right now access label, you have a basic, stakeholder and Visual Studio subscriber. So these are the one which is created by system only. Okay, now billing. Billing right now is least important, but what happens, Azure DevOps is free platform. Okay, so then question is, what is paid? So many of these services are paid. One of the important paid is compute environment. See, you configure, but you build also, right? You run your build, you run your test cases. Where do you run it? So for that build environment and test environment, you need that something. So for that you can buy the units, okay, attached to the credit card and stuff like that, and you can get it. But we are not doing this one. Why? Because what we will do, we'll use Azure DevOps and manually add self-hosted network. Okay, using Azure only. You can buy this credit also using your credit card, so you don't have to configure, but there's no learning for that, right? So we'll add our own self-hosted, and that we will do that, and accordingly we can find out. Global notification, like who should get email notified, and what scenarios, all these things you can set it up here. Build complete, you got notifications or code commit, some more release activities and all kind of things, you can do that. Uses, you can see that under the uses, and here whatever I did, you see, look at this, it's like auditing each user who's doing what at what time. All this thing you can see that here. Extensions, all this which you have installed it or you want to install something at the org level. It's the org level, you can install the extension at the project level also. And then some, if you want to attach to the intra, uh, Microsoft Azure intra, so you can do that here, connect directory. Some security overviews, here you have it, and the risk and coverage and policies. Now guys, this is something which I want you to look at this. Now, do we have something which we should bother about in this page? Do we have something? Security policies, just read this. Third party application access by auth, do we need it? Right now, no. SSL authentications, by default it's yes for nodes. Allow public projects, do we need it? But we'll go for it. This is what I want, because remember that private was disabled. What you need to do now, you know that, right? So just enable this. Now you can create a public repository also. Okay, and invite GitHub user, integration with the GitHub. So if you can do that, if you know the user ID and username, you can do that. Okay, so these are the things. Permissions, more or less users management and all will come back later, but here more or less you can create a group user and attach to the permission. So we'll come back to that. These are the things we see. It's a group default one, and I have only one user, or these are the build user. Just ignore it, each of these are the one user, and each project's one user got created, and this is the one build service got created. Each organizations you get one build user. Okay, process. So process, we have many things to know, but I will just give you at the brief. This process is related to your software development process. Okay, so now if you ask which model they support, so basic you can consider as like a waterfall, something like that, and Agile, Scrum, and CMMI, I think most of you, I believe you're comfortable, right? There is some guidelines for Agile, so that board will support it. There's a different board for Agile, right? Scrum also, there's a different board, so these are the supported. By the way, can you modify? So these are the system one, you cannot modify, but you can create inherited process, which I'll teach you. You can do that, your own process. This you cannot modify. Okay, so like that. Now the things which is important for us is this one. Okay, so remember that you have not bought any credit, you have not rushed to the billings or whatever it is, so you'll not get a free those access. What do we do in this case? So guys, this is the agent pool, is nothing but do you remember the Jenkins? If you have used it, you added node slave, same concept. Here you can add as many agents, and it's a pool you can create it, and those agents will be added in those pool. I'll teach you step by step, don't worry about that. And for that we need Azure DevOps, Azure portal, for that VMs and all creations and all. So here we can create Azure pools, attach the VMs, is very simple, and you can utilize this as part of the building process, testing process and all. And some of the setting buttons you have here, just become comfortable. I would suggest you read each and every options uh, to become comfortable, not get into that. But and this is the deployment pool. So here you have two pools, one is agent pool and one is a deployment pool. Any guesses what could be the difference between the agent pool and deployment pools? So understand this, if you want to do the build operations, then what do you need? Agent. So for that you need an agent pool. But if you want to deploy your software in certain environments, remember this also will support you. It's like it is trying to help you with the kind of job of Ansible deployment server, where you want to deploy the software. So you can create your own pool, actually QA environment, for example, one pre-production environment, integration environment. So these are the pool you can create it, and for deployments. Okay, parallel jobs, it's one of the uh, features you get on the only on the credit. So this option will be disabled for all of you until you get the credit for this. And OAuth configuration, I think, let's say, do you want Twitter account to be used to log in with this, Gmail account, GitHub account, LinkedIn account? So those are the OAuth, LDAP, and things you can do. And some repository, all the repository you can find it here, some options. And storage, artifact storage. So these are some of the settings you have it. So yeah, organization settings, you have so many options. Each organization you get the same settings, and many of these are like simply plug and play and sort of things. Okay, few things which I'll deep dive again once you talk about those services. So any questions on this part? Org setting, all of you? Okay, so I will give you 10 minutes to get you comfortable. Just click on each and everything, read it at a high level, and then after that, we'll have to add one agent pool. I'll teach you for the demo is required. So I'll give you. Just go ahead. It's your time.